Hi kids, so today we're reading about the colonial economies, and this is through the Michigan open source book. So we are going to take a closer look at the New England colonies, the middle colonies, and the southern colonies, and what they relied on to help their economy grow. So we're going to start by reading, if you can follow along. Some of the questions to guide your inquiry are: how did the geographical, financial, and religious status of the colonists affect where and how they lived? Number 2, what motivated each colony to form? Number 3, what effect did the colonists' choices have on the colonies? So we're going to look at this map here. First of all, you can see here is Michigan, where we live. Okay, so the 13 colonies are over here on the East Coast. We are starting with New England colonies, which are up here in the northern part, and they relied on dried fish, whale oil, livestock, wood products. The middle colonies, right there in the middle, relied on grain, iron, and wood products. And the southern colonies, to the south, relied on tobacco, rice, bread, flour, indigo, and grain. We're going to start right up here. The colonists were not lazy people. They had to work very hard for everything they had. They all depended on each other to do certain jobs, and if someone did not do their job, many people were affected. As you read, try to decide which jobs were the most important. There is no right answer to this question, so your opinion is important. Regional economies. Before looking at this section, take a minute to review what economics is. If you can't remember, look back at Chapter 1. Look at the map. What products seem to be the most important to the northern colonies? Let's look back up there again. Like I said, dried fish, whale oil, livestock, and wood products. Remember, the northern colonies are Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New Hampshire. As you probably noticed from the map, the New England colonies did not do a lot of farming. And I can explain to you why. They had lots of rocky soil there. It was very hard for them to farm. But instead, many New Englanders worked in the lumber or fishing industry. Lumber from the forest became a primary export for them. They also used the lumber to make items like houses, barrels, and ships. It may seem odd to us to make barrels, but then they were used to store just about everything. Barrels held grain, fish, and other important resources. The New Englanders were also very well known for their ability to build ships. This made New England important in the trade industry. The problem with exporting was that the colonists did not get to decide on the value of their goods. Those decisions were all dictated by the king, and the colonists had to live with whatever he said. Look at the product map again. Do you see any big differences between the primary products in the northern colonies and the middle colonies? So let's look up at the northern New England colonies and the middle colonies. So in the middle, they had grain, iron, and wood products. So it looks to me like if you go into the middle colonies, there's better land there to grow grains, such as rye and oat and wheat. In the New England colonies, it does not look like they farm much. They rely on maybe farming livestock, but not actually planting crops. And they also relied a lot on the Atlantic Ocean to fish and to whale. But I can see that they are similar in they relied a lot on wood products. Remember, the middle colonies are Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New England. New York and New Jersey. The middle colonies focused a lot on farming to keep their economy moving. Because of the farmable land, the middle colonies were very successful at growing crops. In fact, they got so good at growing crops like grains, wheat, barley, oats, etc., they were often called the breadbasket colonies. They grew so much food, they often had in excess. So they would ship their extra food to other colonies and even England. The middle colonies had a few other exports aside from their agriculture exports. They also had a large amount of iron ore, lumber, textiles, fur, lumber. Of all of those products, they made a significant amount of money from their iron ore products. They were able to manufacture many useful products from their iron ore, including plows, tools, kettles, and nails. These products were sold amongst the colonies, and the remainders were sent to England. The economy of the southern colonies was based mostly on farming. So as we can see looking at the map, the southern colonies farmed tobacco, rice. They also had farmed grain to make bread and also to make flour, indigo, which the indigo plant helped make ink. The blue, purplish color in it would help make ink, and they would dip the feathers in it and be able to, in the jar of the indigo ink, and be able to write on paper. So many families operated small farms. However, the South is known for their plantation-style farming, which called for a large workforce. This is where slavery was most often used because it was a way to have that large workforce for less cost. While slavery is an economic institution, it is a cruel and inhuman system. The main crops grown in the South were tobacco, rice, and indigo. Of those products, tobacco was by far the most profitable. In fact, tobacco became known as black gold in the South. So here are some suggestions for student activities. You can use the links below to look at some of the primary jobs the colonists held. Choose one career to research and teach this to your class. So as your teacher moves forward in the lesson, you are going to search some of the jobs that the colonists had using some of these websites and a few more. But I'm going to ask you to look up 5 different jobs that the colonists had to do a little activity on. And your teacher will explain more about that later. But we do have some links here. If you click on this link, this one's a really good one. You can look up all the different jobs in the 13 colonies. And the reason we're talking about this is because these jobs help the economy. They helped families get money, get things that they need, trade things so that they could survive in the 13 colonies. They also provided jobs for other people so that they could support their family. They were able to provide new items and product to the colonists to help build homes, to feed them, and it also helped them when they sent product to England. They could make more money from that. So some of the different jobs in the 13 colonies were the apothecary. This would be like today's pharmacist, where you would go get medicine if you were sick. A blacksmith, a brick maker. You've probably never heard of a brick maker, but they needed brick makers so that they could build their homes and roads later on. A candle maker, because they did not have electricity, they needed candles to see. A cobbler would help make shoes. There's several things. People that ran the general store, a gunsmith, a hatter. I bet you can't guess what they made. Yes, hats. Okay, so I would love for you to look through here. You can click on each job, and it will give you a little video about what that job entailed and what the silversmiths, colonial silversmiths, had to do as part of their job. There's also a couple paragraphs here to read about the silversmith and the other jobs as well. So let's go ahead and click on another one. And let's see. Ooh, they had a wig maker. So let's click on wig maker. This one does not have a video, but you can listen to an explanation about a wig maker and what they did. Okay, so I hope you enjoy your project and your assignment looking up those colonial jobs. It's a lot of fun, and it's interesting to see what kind of jobs they had back then and how different or similar our jobs are today in the 21st century. Thank you.